think there was obviously a tragic period where we see the war going on, not only in Tigray but in Amhara and Afar regions. And right now, I think there are still fighting going on, but the intensity has declined. And it seems to me that there are also finally some openings toward this, peaceful resolution.
And for you, Hailu, you represent your party members in Tigray. What are they telling you about the situation there?
Well, from the very beginning, this war was a war of annihilation, a war of surrendering an entire nation. Whether you have an active military engagement in Tigray or not, it doesn't matter, because you are killing them with airstrikes, you are killing them with starvation, you are killing them with lack of medication. So the war is still there. I don't see any peace prospect.
So where do we stand with things at the moment? Because if we hear of continued fighting, attacks on civilians, mobilization of forces, and we're hearing here in Addis Ababa, some of the key leaders in this conflict talking about possibly peace talks. Where do we stand with that?
Well, I can't speak for them. They might have something on their hands, but we are talking from the ground. So in the ground, if there is no status quo ante, there will not be peace. It's a non-starter. If there is no, humanitarian aid, peace cannot be, it's just a joke. They are joking, and in fact, it's a cruel joke. So while you are actively killing civilians, in which you have already forcefully, evicted them from their homelands and from their properties in Western Tigray, you can't talk about peace. So if there is going to be a starting point for a peace, there are these elementary things that could be done with a single call from the Prime Minister himself. Just stop the airstrikes, start humanitarian convoys to enter Tigray, stop detaining hundreds of thousands of Tigrayans and depriving them their rights, their properties, and torturing them and extorting them inside prison cells.
And, we've been trying to get a comment from the government to interview them and get their point across during our coverage whilst we're here in Addis Ababa. Previously they've said that there is no blockade on Tigray. That's been their point of view, and they say they're not also targeting civilians. Hona, you say that you're optimistic about the possibility of peace talks, but listening to Hailu and the pain that he's experiencing right now, why are you optimistic?
I think optimistic might be a big, a big word, but I think we have seen that both parties realize that this war will have severe consequences on the country and on civilians. And it seems to me that both the government and the PLF are realizing that actually the military solution wouldn't be, after all, a solution to this situation. And there are openings, I think we have seen in statements coming from both sides saying that they're willing to engage in peaceful conversations about how to end this war. I think Hailu is right. At this point, it's not concrete yet, but we have seen the gestures. For instance, the federal government released some key TPLF leaders a few weeks ago, and that was presented as a gesture. And the TPLF leader on media said, there are ongoing conversations behind the scene. In this conversation, you cannot bring a peace by ignoring a key component of the warring parties. And I think that is a concern for me, that as long as these conversations continue to be between only TPLF and the federal government, it's very unlikely that they will resolve to anything.